Welcome to the Expressions of Destiny podcast. This is Jennifer, your host, and boy, do I have a topic for you today. Actually, it is a couple of topics. So we're just going to dive in here. It has been a month since the last podcast episode, and I have had a lot of things going on, a lot of ideas, a lot of thoughts. And so I want to try to just kind of group them all in here together. So stay with me today. This is going to be a really great talk. I hope that it encourages you, that it helps you just kind of maneuver through some things as business owners or entrepreneurs, or maybe you're still working for someone and you are working on your own dream, your own vision, or you're just happy where you're at. Whatever it is, whatever your situation is, your current status of employment, this is going to reach all the way across the board. And so, all right, well, here we go. No more trying to explain. We're just going to dive right in. So today I want to talk about, first of all, something that is very, very important to me, and that is adding value. Always being able to add value in every area that you are in, your position, the particular job requirements that you have, the industry that you're in. We are always looking for ways to add value. We're always looking for ways to add value to ourselves by learning more things, doing more, engaging in different workshops, taking new classes, registering for courses, whatever it is, YouTube, schooling, whatever it is. We're always striving to add value to ourselves, but at the same time, we want to add value to the places that we are in. And I have to stop for just a moment and apologize. If you can hear my pups barking, this is why I absolutely love podcasting from home, because they are just having a great old time out there playing and doing their thing. And that's okay. I had to wait a moment for my daughters to take them outside, but they're just having a blast, and it just makes me laugh because I'm pretty sure you can hear the happy pups in the background, and that is okay with me. I love to be able to hear life going on in the background and it not being all serious and everything. So, welcome to my everyday. But let's jump back into the topic. And so, when we're trying to add value to the places that we're at, in business in particular, say you're working a job for someone, or maybe you're a business owner who has employees working for you. We come across this situation every time where the majority of the time there is this fear of employees speaking up or being brave enough to speak about things that maybe they don't understand, they don't agree with, maybe something that has upset them, something that they didn't feel was handled the right way. And they're entitled to their opinion, just as you are and I am, in whatever position that we're in. But, we have this fear of confrontation, confronting those issues as a business owner and as an employee, whatever position we're in. And so I want to bring that up today because there are a lot of things that I used to ask myself as an employee. I still currently do work for a nonprofit organization part-time, but I run my own business, and I love both. I mean, I love nonprofit work. I love the mission, the cause, the purpose of what it is that this particular organization is doing. And so I love being there. But at the same time, I have my own business. I work on my own things. I work with individuals. I work with clients. And so I get to see both sides, both worlds. But as a full-time employee for years prior to owning my own business, there were always these questions that I had, and I want to share some of them with you right now because I'm pretty sure we've all gone through the same thing. And so one of the main questions that I always used to ask is, how can I help touch more lives? What is it that I can do to just touch more lives? Period. That's just me. My heart is to give. My heart is to be a blessing to other people. I give a whole lot more than what I receive a lot of times, and that's okay. That's just where I'm at. I want to see businesses thrive. I want to see organizations flourish. I want to see people and individuals find their purpose. And so I just want to touch more lives. But some of the other questions that we ask ourselves in business is, how can I do what I'm doing at a deeper level? What can I do to give a better quality of the product or the service that I am, a part of, or serving people with, or, whatever it is that I'm providing to the customer, the consumer? How can I give better? How can I be worth more to the company that I'm working for? How do I expand my knowledge, my skills, my abilities to be able to give more? How can I help this company achieve more in less time? What are some of the things that I can do to help them be more productive in a shorter amount of time and a better quality? What can I do to serve in that area? Is there a new system that I could develop? Do I have these ideas in my head that I know would help them? But how do I get those ideas out? How do I share that with them? What's a new technology that I could use to help this company or to help my company? How can I exceed the customer's expectations, within this business or this company or this organization? There is so much that our employees want to do. There's so much that they want to give. There are so many ideas inside of them that they want to share. And a lot of times it just comes from maybe having their own visions and their own missions and plans, to own their own business one day. But for the time being, they are working for you. They are there to serve you, to serve your purpose, and to help you grow, and at the same time earn a living, but be able to grow themselves, in whatever opportunity it is that you're giving them to be a part of your business and to serve your customers, which is most important. Now, I'm finding that there are a lot of people, a lot of individuals who are afraid to even share those things that are inside of them. They're afraid to speak up when they see something that can be changed. They see something that could be made better. They see an opportunity to help this organization or this team or their department grow. Yet they hold back. They don't give these ideas. They don't share these things. They may share it with a coworker. They may share it with a family member or a friend. They may share it with a couple of people that they work with, but never the management or the supervisor or the company, organization, CEO, president, owner, whatever the position or title is. They are afraid to speak up. And my question is why? Why are they afraid to mention something to the people that they work for when they know that it could potentially be a huge help and a huge change and a difference in how things are run for the better, but they don't say anything? Then there are those situations where maybe they feel like something could have been done better, or maybe it wasn't done the most productive way. Maybe something was said or done in a way that was offensive. Maybe there was a feeling of being rejected for no reason. There's so many different negative sides of that could come up. And this is where we really, really get into the problem of employees feeling like they can't speak up. They can't share what is on their mind and what is on their heart. And there are a couple of reasons why, a couple of obvious reasons, and there may be others that are more personal to each of you that are listening, as individuals, maybe something personal that you have gone through. But I want to hit on some of the most common reasons why employees will not speak up. The first one is going to deal more with, if they feel like they are being maybe singled out or put on the spot, or it could just be that there is something that someone else did to them or said to them, and they want to be able to speak up about it and they don't. Here's the first reason why. It's a fear of retaliation. And so they're afraid or they're worried about speaking up about the problem or the issue because they feel like maybe they're going to face negative consequences, or maybe they're just going to be ignored, or the whole situation is going to be brushed over. And so it leaves them feeling awkward, leaves them feeling like they've been isolated. They can't say anything else about it because it has just been squashed and done. That something like that would lead to the next point, which is embarrassment, feeling uncomfortable, around those certain individuals, whether it's their leadership, their supervisor, management, or even their coworkers, those that may have been the ones who started this issue, or they found themselves in a situation with, and so now they're embarrassed, and so they isolate even more and don't say anything at all from that point on. I want to take embarrassment in another direction, though. This particular feeling could come, or reason why, could come out of possibly even sitting in a group setting or a meeting, and just something as simple as sharing their ideas, and their ideas being shut down instantly, immediately, for whatever reason, being told, well, we just don't do things that way, or no, I don't think that's going to work, or I don't think you understand how, we've done things for years here and we're not going to change it because there's no need to change it. There's a better way to go about that. And I know a lot of people don't take the time to do this, but one of my main practices is, what is most important in these settings is not so much as a leader. Let me speak for myself. As a leader, as a business owner, as a teacher in past years, being in a position to train and coach, it is more important to listen than to speak. And so in those cases, even if for some reason I may think, I'm not quite sure if that's going to work. Maybe someone brings up a situation to me, or not a situation, but a thought or an idea. And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, I've already tried that before. I've already done it. I really don't think it's going to work because it didn't work the first time. But I'm just going to hear this person out. So I don't verbally say, nah, you know what, I did that already. It just didn't work, so we're not even going to go in that direction. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sit there and I'm going to write it down. I'm going to write down that idea, and I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for that idea. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. We'll come back around and revisit this at another point. Let's go ahead and gather some more ideas so we can kind of think on all of them. But yes, I completely understand what you're saying. Just write it down and just leave it alone for the moment, because there's no reason to point that person out or make them feel like I'm just going to shut down their idea, because it may very well be a great idea, and it may very well be that it just didn't work for me the first time I tried it. But I also believe that there are certain people and certain individuals who are capable of implementing something that they have a better understanding of than I do. And what didn't work for me might just work for that person, because they may know how to implement it in a way that I never thought of. And so I now have an opportunity to sit down with this person one-on-one later and say, tell me more about your idea, because I've tried it before and it just didn't work. Now I'm on a one-on-one, face-to-face, nobody else in the room, and I can tell them these things. It didn't work for me the first time. I'm kind of hesitant to go about, taking on your idea. I'm just not quite sure, but convince me. Tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me what you're thinking, because you may have a totally different idea from what, my whole plan was in the beginning. And if it makes sense, then I'm open to seeing what happens. And so we've taken an opportunity to remember and remind our employees that every idea is worth listening to without immediately shooting it down, because I don't know everything. And my employees may very well be the one to create a successful plan, a successful idea, a successful thing that we implement into our business that I would have never imagined working, because it didn't work for me. I hope you're getting everything that I'm saying here, because I kind of went into a long wind on that one. But it is very easy to shut someone down. And just that one time that we don't take a moment to listen to what they have to say will continue to run over and over in their mind, and it'll shut them down every time before they even have an opportunity to open their mouth, because they're going to begin to think, you know what, it doesn't even matter. What do my ideas matter? They're just going to close the door. They're going to shut it down, and what's the point? It's just a waste of time. That is not how we're supposed to treat our employees. That's not how we're supposed to look at the opportunity to allow them to grow within our company and to help us grow, if we just continue to shut everything down because we think it's not going to work. Okay, here's another one. We're going to jump right into this third one. It's a lack of trust. This one can go in so many different directions, but I want to give you a quick example. You share something with maybe a colleague, coworker, or you share it with, your management, your higher up, and they go and share it with someone else, and they share it with another person, and then all of a sudden that other person comes up with this brilliant idea, or comes up with this lead that was originally yours. It was your idea, talking about the employee. It was your idea, and it just went full circle from the person that you trusted, that you were trying to help, that you wanted to get their feedback on, and they went and shared it with those that they are closer to, have worked with longer, trust more, and established this whole idea as their own. And so now what you've created is, as the owner, as the leader, as the manager, this situation where this employee does not trust you anymore with the ideas. They don't trust that you will come back and allow them to work on this thing, this idea that they had. And let me set something straight. It's not about receiving credit the majority of the time, because there's more of an excitement than there is a pride. I hope you caught that. There's more of an excitement to that person who had this creative idea than there is the pride of owning it. Because a lot of times, and I want to speak for myself and speak for many of you, a lot of times when we have these ideas, we just get so excited about implementing them. We get so excited about working on them. It's something that's been, burning inside of us, and we're thinking, oh my goodness, I could do this, I could focus on this, I could work on that. And so it's the excitement of doing the research and the investigation and learning more about that topic or that product or whatever, plan it is, and really digging deep. And then all of a sudden it just gets snatched out from under you as the person who is presenting and handed over to somebody else. And now you're sitting there thinking, wow, I can't share any of my ideas with this person, the very person I should have been able to trust as my leader. This is where they begin to shut down once again. They're not being shut down at this point. They're just shutting down, and saving all of that for when they move on to another business, another company, another organization that's going to be willing to allow them to move in their creativity and in their thought process and their ideas and their excitement to add value, or when they begin to start move on to start their own business. And then there's the last reason why there's a problem with employees not speaking up, and that's just unclear communication. There has not been this foundation set between manager, supervisor, owner. They all fall into the same category, depending on, who this person is under, and the employee. And this is something that we teach first and foremost in our business when it comes to employee coaching and customer service training is, mainly the employee coaching, is the foundation is relationship. It's knowing your people. It's taking the time to know your people. You cannot have clear communication. You cannot have trust if you don't have relationship. Does that mean you have to go and be best friends? No. Does it mean that you have to go and spend time with each other outside of work? No. Actually, I advise against that, but it's everybody's choice, right? But you have to have some form of relationship established where you are actively trying to get to know your employees. You want to know more about them. Sure, knowing about their family, knowing a little bit about, the things that they love and some of their activities and hobbies that they have is great. It's always good to know a little bit about that. Knowing, where they came from, a little bit of history on their background. That's great. Those are ways that we can connect. If we've come, maybe I find out that an employee of mine grew up in San Antonio, and that's where I grew up, San Antonio, Texas. I no longer live there, but I lived the majority of my life there. And so being able to talk to an employee about that and relate on, the different places that we visited and that I know about, that allows me to open up a little bit more communication with them, where they feel more able to just come to me and have a regular conversation. But when I talk about relationship building between employer and employee, it goes deeper than that. It's knowing what they have a passion for. It's knowing their skills, their gifts, what they love to do, what they want to be, what they're pursuing to be and to do even after they've been working for you, because they're not always meant to be there forever. We don't want a revolving door of people in and out, in and out, in and out. But you may have an employee that's with you for a year, and that was their season. They may be with you for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. But everything is a season. Their intention when they came in may have not been to be with you forever. So they may have dreams and aspirations for after they leave your business or your organization and your leadership. So in our mind, as leaders and business owners, we need to think, what can I do to help them pursue their dream and their goal by helping them grow while they are here? What are some of the things that I can offer to them? Can I help mentor them? Can I allow them to implement new ideas? Can I allow them to test out certain, strategies or share their thoughts on different things? Can I open up that door for them to be able to think even more about the processes of things that we do within our company, because it's helping them grow? And in the process, it may actually bring up something that I never thought about that we can utilize and I can allow them to work on. But in a lot of business today, that is not the case. It is a unclear communication channel. They don't feel like they can come and open up and share these things. Or they may begin to share things and there's no understanding of it because there's no concern. There's no willing to listen. There are a lot of business owners and managers and supervisors and, whoever is holding that leadership role that is very stuck in their ways and is only going to do it one way, and that is it. And that is not opening up any positive doors for allowing your employees to grow, helping you to grow as a leader, and helping the organization to grow. I'm hitting really hard today because I have experienced it throughout my entire life. I have implemented it in so many different organizations and businesses that I have been in as a teacher or in ministry or in retail, nonprofit organizations, hospitality industry, in all these different areas. I've seen it, I've worked it. And a lot of times I've had to be the middle person, trying to bring the two together, trying to establish that communication by reminding the leader or the business owner and the employee to speak up and to remain open. And I thank God for putting me in those positions to bring me to a place to understand that. But it's still really hard to see it happening even today, that there is such a disconnect between employees and employers. Such a disconnect. And we can blame the revolving door for that if we want to, but it's not the revolving door. It is, we have a revolving door because of the lack of relationship. So I want to share one more example because this kind of jumps into a whole other industry, I guess you can say. It's not so much business, but in education. And I'm going to show you how this also happens in school, in universities and colleges, because I just came out of it. And so I can share my experiences. I can share what I've heard from fellow students and classmates, in the time that I was in college for the past 2 years. I can share what I experienced from what my daughters would share with me because they were also in college with me for the past 2 years. All three of us were there at the same time. And so at the end of every semester, there is a evaluation that is requested of the students to give on their course, specifically, the class time, what was taught and everything, and on the instructor. It always started by asking questions about the instructor. Asking questions about the actual course itself. Did it cover all of the areas that were expected? Was it in depth and detail? Were the materials a good use? Was the class time a good amount of time? Because some of the classes were just online, some were hybrid, some were in person through Zoom. They were all different. And so they're trying to figure out what works best, which is fine. And then there was the specific questions about the instructor. And when I tell you, it does not matter that the evaluations say that they are anonymous. The instructors or the professors do not know, which student is commenting on what. It is still not enough for the students to believe, because there's still this fear that the instructor, professor, whoever it is going to know exactly who they are. Most likely dependent on the way that they respond, the way that they answer certain questions, the additional feedback that we can put in our own words. And so students, a lot of students, from what I would hear, would hesitate to give those survey answers because they would release the survey, I believe, 2 to 3 weeks before the semester was up, and it would just consistently pop up in our Blackboard. And so looking at that, we would just click off of it and wait until all of our work was done, until everything was graded before submitting that survey. Why? It said it was anonymous. It said that we had no worries about the professor knowing that it was a specific student or individual that was commenting that way. But the students still somewhat feared retaliation. What if we said something that was negative, or what if we really tried to just speak what was on our mind regarding the professor and how they responded, or how they didn't respond, or how they weren't even there and present in the class, how we barely heard from them, how it took days upon days for them to even get back to us, and assignments were already due and we had no help. We had no one there to kind of guide us through maybe things that we didn't quite understand and needed more explanation on. And it really was no excuse, because there were some professors that were on top of everything. I mean, you would send them an email and they responded within a couple of hours, or at least by the end of day, at latest next day. There were professors that would get on the phone with you and have a conversation. There were professors that would meet with you in person. They were going above and beyond, but then there was a good amount of professors that just were not even present. And so you're basically taking this class on your own. You're turning in the work. They're grading it at some point, sometimes 2-3 weeks later, and receiving a grade. As long as you passed your tests and you turned in your assignments. Some assignments probably weren't even looked over or read. They were just slapped a 100. And so there's all these questions. And so as I'm talking to some of these students, some of these classmates, and they're not submitting the survey because they're waiting for this time to pass, it was like, we shouldn't be afraid to speak up. We shouldn't be afraid to share. Now, I always just jumped right into my survey because I've never had a problem sharing constructive criticism. I'm not rude about it. I've learned to write things a little more with strategy, being very strategic in how I say things, just to make sure that it is received in a way that hopefully it'll help for them to understand, my experience wasn't the greatest, and that and I'll always offer suggestions. I always give the positive side of the professor and the class before I dive into the things that were not so good. That's the way it should be handled. We should always recognize both. It's not always all bad. Well, this is the same scenario that employees go through. And I wanted to share that with you because you have these college students. Now, here I was, returning back to school after 20-something years. I'm kind of already used to it, but you have a lot of these younger generations, just still in high school, doing dual enrollment, just barely graduated high school, and then the young adults that have been out of, school for a couple of years. And they're just learning the process. So they're already learning this fear of not being able to speak up even at a college level. And when they go into the workforce, they're already going to have this fear that they can't speak up when it comes to completing a survey about your department head or your boss or the organization as a whole. I can tell you the nonprofit organization that I work for, my team is a team of about 7 or 8 people total. And if we all do the same survey on our supervisor or boss, then they're probably going to be able to figure out who said what, in what way, because we're all close and it's a small group and they know us. And so there's this feeling of, do I say it or don't I say it? Because it says that the survey is anonymous, but the person is still going to know who's who, I believe. And I wonder sometimes if the people that I work with think that way. I don't know, because I don't talk to them about it. But I don't have a problem, speaking up. And so when these surveys and things come out, I just share what's on my heart. I share if there's anything that can be, maybe made better or improved upon. And for the most part, I share all of the positive things, because it's very important to point out the things that are working, the things that we do appreciate, because we don't want those things to change. And so there may be a couple of things that I might add on there, but I don't really mind, because if I need to sit down and talk to you face to face about it, I will as well. And so, but I know that there are a lot of people who, they fear that. They struggle with it. Is this person going to give me the silent treatment? Is this person going to have an issue with me? Are they going to call me in because they got offended? Are they going to take everything that I say personal? Well, guess what? A good leader, a good supervisor, a good manager, a good owner will take constructive criticism. They will take the thoughts of the people who work for them, and they will check themselves first. Sit down and look at the negative things and say, do I really do that? Have I done that before? Is that maybe something that I don't realize I do? Maybe I should pay attention to that more. And these are just simple questions, because if you ask yourself these things and then you stop and say, well, no, I don't do that. Maybe I should, look into that a little bit and see why they're so upset about that. Or, no, I really haven't done that before. If that's the case, then okay. At least you checked yourself. At least you took a moment to think about it, instead of just shutting it down and saying, that's not me. What are they talking about? We can't be so quick to get offended and to feel like we're being attacked, or to feel like someone just doesn't like us, or they have an attitude, or they think they're better than me. Because as a leader, we have to be willing to check ourselves, period. And so it comes back to the whole survey and employees feeling like they can speak up, because if there is an issue, then let's sit down and talk about it. I want to know how you're feeling. I want to know why you feel that way about the situation or whatever happened, or maybe something that I said. I just want to know, because if I did do that, or I did make you feel a certain way, I don't want us to stay there. I want us to do better. I want us to get to a point where we watch these things. We make sure that we're communicating the right way. We want to make sure that there's a level of respect between the two of us. And to understand, most importantly, that we are here to help each other. Your employees are here to help you. You are there to help your employees. We serve together, side by side, not one in front of the other. You may hold a title or a position that is over that individual, but we serve together. And so I want to go back to some of these things again before I end here. I know this one's been a little bit longer, but it's been a while since I've recorded, so I just had to share what was on my heart. But we cannot have this fear of speaking up, because if we do, if employees and coworkers have a fear of speaking up, and management is not willing to stop and build relationship with the people that work with them and for them, then we cannot add value. The employee cannot add value. The employer cannot add value. It goes both ways. The employee is adding value to the company. We should be adding value. The employer should be adding value to the employee. And so we go back to these questions again. Questions I love to ask myself all the time. How could I help touch more lives? What can I do above and beyond? What can I do even more today to serve someone else, to be a blessing to someone else, How can I do it at an even deeper level? How can I put even more into this? How can I give better quality of myself or towards the product or through the service that we provide? How can I be worth more to this company? How can I expand on my knowledge and my skills and my abilities so that I can give more? How can I help this company to achieve more? And it just goes on and on and on. What can I develop that is going to help them be successful in what it is that they're trying to do? If we shut our people down and we don't build establish relationship as a foundation and communication, and they fear speaking up, they fear they fear saying the things that need to be said. They fear being able to share what's on their mind and on their heart. They fear sharing their ideas because of possible retaliation, embarrassment, a lack of trust, unclear communications, all these things that we've talked about. They fear not being heard. They fear, feeling like it's just a waste of time. Nobody's going to listen to them. It doesn't matter what they have to say. Then we are stopping them from adding the value that they want to add to you and your business, and you are not adding value back to them. So I want to leave it there. I know this was kind of a deeper subject. It can come across as harsh, but it's all meant to bring businesses and organizations and departments to a place of thriving together and accomplishing great things if we would just focus on these two things, adding value and not fearing speaking up about any situation to the people that we work for and work with, so that we can do great things on a daily basis. And so there's so much more that we can cover on this. I may have to come back and do a part 2 at some point. But for now, we're going to stop because that is a lot of information. I hope that this has been an encouragement to you. I hope that it's given you some things to think about. It has encouraged you to speak up in times that it's necessary and not be afraid to share what's on your mind, and build relationship with others. Meaningful relationships that are going to make a difference in the lives of both of you. So that is it for me today, you guys. Thank you again for joining me on the Expressions of Destiny podcast. I will talk to you soon. God bless.